Oh, you can't hear me.
Okay, now I can.
Okay. Okay. First and foremost, how do I pronounce your name?
Hamacha.
I love it. That's what I thought it was. And your last name? How do I pronounce it?
Ngandu.
Nandu. Okay. I
Yes.
didn't know my how I thought your last name was going to go a different way. So I'm so glad I at least I had the first name right. How
You
much?
got the exactly. That's what matters.
Yes. Hamacha, thank you so much for joining me. I like to do this. Oh, are we doing note taking? It's fine. So thank you so much. I find it very interesting to meet someone who's like a follower. You had some amazing questions for me, and they were tough questions, and it's questions I haven't answered before. So I figured I would do a meet and greet with a follower. So this is the first time I'm meeting you, and
Yeah.
let's get to business. Shoot away at the questions.
I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, what are we doing here? I thought we were just having an easy talk.
No, I don't know, but the questions were fabulous. So, if you'd like to start, or if you want to give some background about introduce yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I guess we could just have like a casual talk and not make it so formal because I think that's how I generally am because this is it's a topic that is worth discussing. It's about how women give so much. We give so much of ourselves in our roles as mothers, as partners, as leaders. And for me personally, I had a business, I had married, I had the kids. And I totally lost myself in these roles, of always giving and always thinking that my role was just to give and give and give. And the more that I gave, the more it made me this incredible hamacha. And at the end of the day, it just turned out to be exhausted, resentful, and really not living according to my personal values. It was just more about fulfilling my kids' needs, my husband's needs, my giving to my customers, and not really being intentional with what was important to me, where I wanted, what my goals were, what Hamacha's intrinsic Hamacha's goals were inside. And so when I closed my business actually, like I literally closed my business 2 weeks before COVID. So that was a
Mhm.
positive thing. And then COVID hit. And then I think it did what it did to me, what it did to so many people. It left us all thinking about sorry, one second.
No, go
As
ahead.
mother is mothering right now, she's in
Mhm.
the right mothering. I'm in
Okay.
a call, 30 minutes, complete silence, please, because I need to finish up. Mother is mothering.
Mhm.
And guess what? This is what I've learned right now there. It's about prioritizing me. So basically in all of that, it was what at the end of the day, what I do for my clients is to show them that it's okay to have those roles of mother, of leader, of doing our work and giving our all. But we also have to give it to ourselves first because we can't do everything and not think that it doesn't affect us, our well-being, our health. And so this is what I do. I'm a personal development coach. And what I do is help women to prioritize themselves unapologetically and not in a narcissistic way, but in a true way of getting to know yourself because we are pillars of society. And if we stand tall in who Hamacha is, then I can be more intentional as a mother, as a partner, as a leader, as all the roles that I play. So basically that's what the story is.
I love it. And I can relate to you because I'm actually a full-time caregiver to both of my parents.
Mm,
They're
yes.
they're in their 80s, so at times it's almost like I'm mothering my parents, like I am the mom
Yeah,
of my parents many
you
times.
are.
And it's not easy. I'm also in school full time. And however, I do realize and I do notice this, and hopefully this statement will help parents as well. Even though I do for them and I help them all throughout the day, I've learned to delegate. I've learned to get help. Yes, it's going
Yes.
to cost me money. Maybe it's one less nail appointment, but I will hire someone for the day if I have to go do a speaking engagement or have some other obligation. At the end
Hmm.
of the day, as much as I'm caring for them, I also have to divide my time for me as
Absolutely.
well. And I still continue in my education because, I don't know when, God's going to call my parents home, when their last day is. And I have to still progress academically so that when they do pass, I can still have work and have a job and have a career. We
Exactly.
can't put ourselves completely on hold. And the same theory, like with my parents, like, okay, one day they're going to pass. It's the same thing with children too, because one day they're going to grow up, they're going to get married,
Exactly.
or they're going to have a job, or they're going to move. And then you still have to have, your career, your own plans, and your own life. And I think
Exactly.
we all get lost. And this is such a universal situation. Like it doesn't matter what culture you're in, it doesn't matter where you live. This is
Mhm.
something that many people go through, where you do just have to find the balance. And always, it's like a pie chart, you have to make this person happy, this person happy, this person happy, your mom, your dad, your husband, your children, but you also have to leave a little space for yourself,
Mhm.
right?
You
And you
have
have
to
to make
make a
yourself
lot of
happy.
space for yourself. And
Hmm.
I think like what you just said, and thank you for sharing that. And it's like you have to, especially you in the situation that you're in right now, being the caregiver of your family. Not only is it like emotionally, physically, but it's draining. It's
Hmm.
draining because they literally are like children. You are mothering them. It's like having an innocent child, and you have to take care of it and make sure that it survives. But it's so important in this to understand that their survival is based on your survival.
Hmm.
If you're not taking care of yourself, and you're falling sick and then how are you able to take care of others? So it happens in in your way, in your specific situation right now, also for women as mothers, also as partners. And for me, I deal with a lot of clients that actually one of my clients that I had the other day, she was a single mother, raising her child since her child was, I think, around 2 years old, and her child is now 16. And she basically put her life on hold for this child and gave this child the most amazing life. But now her daughter's 16, she wants to go out, she has a boyfriend, and she realized, and she came to me and said, I just realized that I was giving so much to her, and she's ready to go off to university.
Hmm.
And and now I have to rebuild myself. On Saturday nights, she's like wanted to hang out, watch Netflix, and like hang out with her daughter. And her daughter's like, bye, mommy. And she realizes, like, I have to go out there. I didn't date, I didn't travel. So these are things that another example of what we do as women. And it's not our fault, really. Like a lot of the things, when I talk to a lot of women, I have an African background. I was born in Zambia. I was raised in the US. I'm currently based in Italy. And in all of these cultures, so many women do the same, like you just
Hmm.
said. We're so hardwired to please since we're, young girls. It's
Yeah.
like sit on that person's left, give them a hug, smile, be
Hmm.
nice. All of this, like our it's like our humanity is based on being loved by others,
Hmm.
right? And so for me, in my personal story, when I woke up and I just thought, I'm giving so much of myself, even in this marriage, even as a parent. And like what I mean, I did accomplish a great dream of opening a business, but there was so much that I wanted to do, but I always felt so drained. I felt guilty sometimes. And it's like, what kind of mother should I be? Should I be there? Should I be cooking? I mean, I was doing everything. When I
Hmm.
think about it sometimes, it's like I was out of my mind.
Yes, and I can share the sentiment, and I realize because sometimes I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my home. Like I want everything
Mm,
clean and
me
spotless and
too.
everything. And then I realized that because of my schooling and my career, I have to be okay with
Yeah.
I'm not going to get to everything today. It's just
Exactly.
not going to happen. I'm going to be interrupted by one of the people that I care for, or I'm going to be interrupted by something else. And I have to step away and be okay with that. And I
Yeah.
also have to be okay with asking for help.
For
And
help.
the best help I've had, I know everyone's different. Some people have a lot of family that will take turns and come in and help. I don't have that situation, but luckily I've had the best hired help that I could ever have. So I always thank them and I always appreciate them because without the team that I have, I would not be able to be speaking with you right now. It would be impossible. And I have
Yeah,
to, like I said, you have to be okay with you're not going to get to everything. Just
exactly.
try your best. It can be overwhelming, but once you I think we have to be nice to ourselves and
Yeah.
cut ourselves some slack too.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get to everything. If you The hardest part I also had was getting back into physical fitness and the gym. And then I realized the negative talk. We have to be so careful with the voice, our internal voice that we hear
Mm,
inside, right? When we
yes.
judge
Yes.
ourselves in front of the mirror, or when I used to beat myself up about not going to the gym 5 or 6 days a week, you know, and then I realized it's okay if I only go 3 times a week, as long as I went.
Exactly.
If I only
Because
made
three
it,
times a week is great.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you go 3 times a week and you
hmm
celebrate that, and perhaps it might like motivate you to do more. But I think
hmm
it's like what you said, that perfectionism,
hmm
that it's like, I'm gonna be this perfect person who does it all. Like, basta. No, as they say in Italy. So I have a question for
yes,
you.
uh-huh.
Because you said when you feel so overwhelmed,
hmm
how do you know that you're really overwhelmed by where you are right now, caregiving for your parents?
Well, luckily I've been doing it for 12 years and they're still alive. So I've been doing it well, right?
It's a
They're
long
still
time.
good. Yeah, I've been doing it for 12
Mhm.
years by myself. Um, I usually have to manage multiple priorities at the same time, and it's usually 3 to 5 things, whether it's a medication refill, whether it's I have to call a nurse, I have to follow up a doctor's appointment. So when it gets to that point where it's like 5 things that I literally have to do at the same time, I have to
Mhm.
grab a paper and pen and just make a list and try
Mhm.
to, that overwhelmness means that you realize that there are priorities
Yep.
um, that they're weighing on you. However, if you organize yourself, grab a piece of paper or on your phone, create a list and
Mhm.
tackle your to-do list, it will help immensely. And
Mhm.
you'll realize work, whether it's personal or professional work or academic work, work is work. And sometimes it piles up like a mountain, and
Mhm.
you have to be okay with that. It's going to pile up. That's normal. Okay.
Mhm.
And you have, like any mountain, you have to climb it. You have to get through it. And it's
Yeah.
about not thinking about everything that you have to do. It's almost like you have to stop thinking a little bit and just get it done and just get
Yeah.
through it. Because the more you sit in that feeling of, I have 5 things that I have to do, and you're not, creating a list for yourself and you're not calming yourself down, you're harming yourself because your immune system and your central nervous system is taking that in. And
Exactly.
all of a sudden your blood pressure goes up because now you feel anxiety of everything you have to manage. But know that you can manage it. You won't get through everything today. Make a
Mhm.
list. You'll tackle the next thing, the next day. And also like whatever you find hard to do, if you're a morning person, try to get to the hard stuff first. I feel
Yeah.
like that makes
That's a
it,
great point.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so much easier.
Yeah. So for you, how do you create joy in every day just to kind of ease um, the overwhelm and just to feel like, yes, I'm going to kind of distance my role from caregiver
Mhm.
and just take care of Linda. How do you do that? How do you do that for yourself?
We all have these core ideas. We all have this core purpose that some of us will realize earlier than others. And my core purpose is I like helping others. Uh,
Mm,
and it doesn't have to be financial, always financial. And I'll let my followers know I am not a millionaire, but I can help people with, their resume or their LinkedIn profile or giving them a reference for a job or those type of things. So my
Mhm.
core value really is helping others. Whether it's a podcast. And I think this is wonderful that what we're doing, and I think our society globally has gone away from it, especially in the United States.
Yeah.
Everyone um, is basically text messaging, but actual having real conversations
Yeah.
that not just the high and by, not just the small talk that a lot of upper affluent people and wealthy people do, but real conversations that really, hit the soul. That's what people need. People need to talk. And
Exactly.
and I think that's what I bring, with the podcast. It's the podcast came at such a hard time for me physically. I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis in 2021, and
What
it
exactly is that?
okay, so sarcoidosis, it's like the cousin of lupus.
Okay.
Almost. So it's very, very similar. We share the same medications as lupus. However, the
Mhm.
only difference is that we have something called granulomas that attack every organ and every system in our body. So the
Okay.
granulomas are like cells in your body. So basically, my immune system is attacking itself. So it
Mhm.
causes a lot of problems, and it's an inflammatory disease. And you're diagnosed, you basically have it for life. You can go into remission, but remission just means that it's not as active, but it's
It's
still
like
there.
dormant a little bit.
Yes, and
Mhm.
sometimes stress can cause a flare. So stress can
That's
heighten it.
exactly what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
thinking in that case, you even have to be really, really more self-aware to not overgive and to
Mm-hmm.
take care of yourself. Because stress, I mean, even for me too, stress, I'm 45 years old and I have hypertension. And for
Mm-hmm.
sure, that's down to stress. And so when I was like doing my research and I got transitioned from after fashion entrepreneur to coaching. And I thought to myself, what kind of coach do I want to be? What is my niche? And I thought, I'm going to teach from my own personal experience and what it's done for me, what I've done for myself, because I think that's when you're really able to speak openly from your own personal experience and not just talk, some numbers or scientific facts. Yeah, that's great. But I think if you yourself have been through it and you've kind of realized and taken responsibility and you've worked on yourself and you've had that personal growth. And like you said, you can help women to not do that for themselves or just wake them up to like, guys, like, do you know how much energy we spend thinking about others? You know? And it's really wonderful. So I'm really glad that we just casually and or just said, hey, let's talk. And
Yes.
I
So,
actually, to be honest, I
uh-huh.
completely forgot it was going to be recorded. And I was just like, makeup free, go ahead, just
Oh,
talk.
this
And
was
I'm like,
10
oh,
minutes.
yeah, it's recorded.
But
So
you
you
look
actually
lovely.
know, darn.
You look lovely. You don't even have very good lighting. You don't even look your age either. But yeah, so the podcast came because it was affecting the sarcoidosis was affecting me neurologically. So all of a sudden I
Mm,
had difficulty speaking. I had difficulty holding a grip. I couldn't hold a grip.
mm.
Things would
Yeah.
fall out of my hands. I had problems speaking. And then I realized it's because I was working from home. I had no one to talk to on a regular
Mm.
live. And I realized
Yeah.
that in order for me to better myself neurologically, I had to start talking. And so
Yeah.
that's where how the podcast became. It actually became as therapy that I could afford. And
Yeah.
it blossomed into something else. And then I realized, no, I think we need to talk about our careers and our lives and those things that we people never talk about. We are so busy in our 9 to 5 jobs and trying to please our bosses, and you can never please. There's some bosses you can never please.
Yeah. I mean, you can't please everyone, but that's not your role. Your role
Hmm.
is to be aligned with who you are. And what I do in my coaching and in this workshop that I have, it's called Living in Power. I use this framework called the art of self-prioritization. So when I actually say that, sometimes I get, these reactions from women saying, what, you're going to teach us to like be selfish? And I'm like, that's not at all what it's about. It's about like at the end of the day, like you just said, we can't please everyone, but we can start with pleasing ourselves. And that's something that's not taught to us. That's not taught and society and our traditions and families, all of this. It's like they benefit from us staying small. They benefit from us saying yes. And
Mhm.
so what I do is say, okay, I'm not coaching, I coach teenagers, but when I coach women, it's like we are taking responsibility for ourselves. We are going to be unapologetic about taking care of ourselves because when we do, that's when we're able to really make the changes in your relationship, in your, caregiving, work. And so for me, it's all about teaching women to put yourself first. And it's not a bad thing and it's not a selfish thing. Because when you really look at the data and what they talk about, like autoimmune diseases, about how we're literally raised
Having
to
them.
give and give and give, because it's something that comes naturally for us. We're nurturers. I mean, we're built biologically to carry and love and to bring a child into life if you choose to do that.
Mhm.
But that does not mean you lose yourself in all these roles that we play. And to be a really strong woman is you taking care of yourself, you loving yourself, because when we do, that's when we really see like it's brought back to us.
Yeah.
It's like the universe brings back to us, that love that we're looking for. It brings back to us that self-respect, those boundaries. It all comes from us taking like our own accountability. So that's what I do, and that's what I did for my life. And so it's great. I love that you just said that for you, you found a way from being a caregiver and being a bit more self-aware and saying, you know what, I'm losing myself in this role and I'm lonely and I have like, this my body situation right now. I
Mhm.
need this. And you took accountability and responsibility and not like blaming anyone. I haven't heard you say that at all. You were more like, I'm going to create what I need. I'm going to create this podcast. I'm going to talk
Mhm.
to people. We're going to reach out to each other on LinkedIn. You were like, hey, let's chat. Let's chat. And here we are chatting, you
So,
know?
so yes, and I just thought you had such a great energy. Just FYI, there's a speaking convention happening in Paris, France. I will send
Okay.
you the info on that. Have you been a speaker before? Have you spoken in
Yeah,
front of a
yeah,
crowd?
I do speak. I
Oh,
speak
okay.
yeah, I do. I'm a speaker too.
Okay.
Um, I do a lot of international schools in Milan. I'm also
Nice.
certified by Yale too, and I teach teen well-being, teaching teenagers because that's a whole new
Mm-hmm.
chapter of all the issues teenagers are going through, and the mental illnesses and all of this. So yeah, I do talks with teenagers about like choosing yourself. What does it mean, well-being for yourself? So I love that. And just like you said, just talking and bringing the love out there and talking, especially, I really enjoy starting with girls, young
Mm-hmm.
girls, because I look at myself and say, I'm going to take responsibility right now. And the caveat before I say what I'm going to say is, I am not a victim of anything in my life, And where my life is, even with all the challenges, I'm like so bloody grateful for it every single day because it's made me the person that I am. And that's why I do what I do to help other women to prioritize themselves. But
There's a but.
there's always a but, right? There's always a but. But it would have been nice when I was maybe 13 or 14 year olds to have attend a talk and have Hamacha who says to me, hey girl, you want to do this? Be careful. Be careful sometimes when your family is telling you this. Be careful when you get into this kind of relationship. Be careful when you have these people around you because it's okay to say no, I love me more, and I say no, 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 no to you. And so for me, that's what I really love speaking to
Mhm.
women, but I also love taking the young girls and going, girls, let's
Yeah.
have like a real talk right now. You know, I'll be
Mhm.
your auntie. I'm your cool auntie. Let's talk. And it's incredible. It's so amazing. I love talking with the young teens. It's like I'm like the big sissy and they want to talk to me about
That is
everything.
nice. That is
Fun.
wonderful.
It
So,
is.
Hamacha, before we go today, where can the listeners find you?
They can find me on Instagram, haamachangandu.com, and they can also find me there. And there's also a link of a free guide that I have. It's called Seven Ways of Reclaiming Yourself. And they have a lot of personal stories and prompts to kind of start the mind going about what does it really mean to prioritize yourself, because you might be sitting there as a very strong woman, and I was too, but there were so many ways that I wasn't prioritizing myself and living in my power. So I have that gift for you. And then, or you can go directly to my workshop. It's a 60-minute on demand. You can watch it at home, and it's called Living in Power. And I really talk about my framework. You really start to kind of go into the mindset of who is this woman who lives in her power. It does not mean you're giving to all, you're giving to yourself first, because when you start to do that, that's really when you see all the changes happen in your life, personally and business wise.
Absolutely. And it's been such a great conversation with you. So I'll send you some information. I will email you as well.
Link,
And
yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna stop recording right now.